Hello, this is Miss Doolittle, and this video is going to walk you through how to do the first couple of problems in the slope-intercept and standard form assignment. We're going to be talking about writing an equation in slope-intercept form when we begin with standard form. So let's get started. All right, now standard form is the type of equation that you see in front of you here. The characteristics of an equation in standard form are that we have the x and the y terms on one side of the equal sign. They're either going to be added or subtracted. And then on the right side of the equal sign, you are going to have your constant. Now the x term can certainly have a coefficient with it. In this case, it is 4. And the y term can certainly have a coefficient with it. In this case, it is 7. But just the x and the y terms get to be on the left side and then the constant on the right. Okay, now our goal, what our task is that we have to complete here is to get it in slope-intercept form. Keep in mind, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And what's characteristic of that form is that y is all by itself. Okay, so that's our goal. We're going to isolate y and get it all by itself. So in order to do that, I first need to isolate the entire y term. I need to get 7y all by itself. Well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to get rid of 4x. The 4x is positive at this point because there's not a negative in front of it to show that it's negative. So that means the inverse operation of 4x would be to subtract off 4x. Since it's positive to start with, we are going to get rid of it with a negative, with its opposite. Okay, 4x minus 4x, those zero each other out. I am left with a 7y. I do not have to write the plus sign in front because even when the plus sign is not there, we recognize a value to be positive. And the 20 and the negative 4x are not like terms. Therefore, I cannot combine them. I have to write them as two separate terms in an expression on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So this is what this should look like at this point, okay? Now the 7 is being multiplied by the y. How do I undo multiplication? I do that with division. So I'm going to have to divide both sides by 7. Okay? So my 7's divide. That makes that 7 go away. So y is equal to, now here's the thing that confuses some people. So the thing is when I have two things being added or subtracted and all of that is being divided by a value, I can actually give each one of these terms its own denominator. I can split that up. So here's what that would look like. We would say negative 4x is divided by 7 and then put this plus sign in the middle. And then my 20 is also being divided by 7, okay? And that really is my slope-intercept form. So we are pretty well done at this point. The only thing I can do to further simplify this answer would be correct. It is correct, but you could also rewrite it with the 4/7 out front as a fraction all by itself. That way we can recognize the negative 4/7 as the slope, and then we can recognize 20 over 7 as the y-intercept. So remember, if you can simplify, if the numbers divide evenly, then you want to go ahead and simplify anytime that you can. But in this case, we don't have that. Our numbers don't divide out evenly, so we are just going to leave it just like that. All right, let's take a look at the second one. Again, we're starting in standard form. Our goal is to isolate y or get y all by itself. Okay, we're going to go through a very similar process. My 2x is the thing that has to go away first, because remember I have to isolate this negative 5y term. So in order to do that, I have to get rid of the positive 2x. I'm going to do that with a negative 2x on both sides of the equal sign. This time I have to write that negative in front of the 5y. When you have a minus sign there, it kind of hugs to whatever is behind it. So it's applying itself to whatever follows it. So that means this negative is talking about the 5y, right? That's the thing that's being subtracted. So we have to make sure that that negative stays there, because if we just let it go away, that would indicate a positive 5y instead of a negative, and we can't have that. Now over here on the right side, just like in the last problem, 18 and negative 2x are not like terms, so we are going to have to write those as two separate terms of the expression on the right-hand side. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now, my negative 5 is being multiplied by y. This minus sign, remember, is saying that my 5 is negative, but because these two are being written side by side, my dot's going to go away, that indicates multiplication. So the operation that we are trying to undo is multiplication. Okay, if that were subtraction, the minus sign would have to be in between those two values, and it is not. So this is multiplication that we have to undo. So we're going to have to divide by that negative 5 on both sides of the equal sign. Here my negative 5's cancel. I have y equals. Now remember, I can write each one of these two terms with its own denominator of negative 5. Okay? So y is going to be equal to negative divided by a negative is positive. So, and I'm also going to go ahead at this point and write my 2/5 as a fraction out in front of the variable term. So what you see up here and what you see down here are equivalent. Those terms mean the same thing because a negative divided by a negative is positive, and the 2x over 5 is the same thing as writing 2/5 with the x behind it. Now here I have 18 divided by negative 5. Obviously those don't simplify and divide out evenly, so we're just going to write it as an improper fraction. That's perfectly fine. And a positive divided by a negative is negative, so we're just going to write minus 18/5. Okay? And then we are done. This is the most simplified form of standard form that we can have for this particular problem. So there you go. There are two examples for you to help you with those first two problems. If you still have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.